101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us. On the other media platforms. In the first watch today, the law of the land, compassion versus punishment. And in the second watch, clean up or shut up. The fight is on. Law of the land, compassion versus punishment. Clean up or shut up. The fight is on. Our social media question we ask: what are your thoughts on the Broadcasting Commission's ban on Molly, scamming, and gun music? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. Herman Melville.
Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing well. Nice hearing you again.
Yes, sir.
Especially after the interview yesterday. By the way, have you written any original piece recently? Any original music?
Yes. It's something I do in my pastime, so it's not something I ever really stopped doing. I have written a few recently.
Oh, so have you put it on on the airwaves as yet?
Not quite as yet. Been busy and doing stuff, but
Okay.
yeah, working on it. I'm going to get it done.
Working. We look forward to that, Victor. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. The first watch will be back after this break.
Accept credit card payments for goods and services on your website with Sagicor Payment Gateway. Integrate in as little as 30 minutes. Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
The time is now 7:03, and you're listening to Love 101 FM.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Toussaint. Now, when you take your last penny to build a roof over your head, just to have it mowed down, not by natural disaster or unfortunate accident, but by deliberate legal action, it is devastating. But what if the lines are blurred? What is the fair response? Is it all or nothing? When is compassion versus punishment? Right. Well, to help us answer these and other related questions, we have I believe online so far, Miss Carol Narcisse, civil society advocate. And I'm not sure if we are joined as well as yet by Pastor Courtney Morrison, pastor of the Fellowship Tabernacle, co-host of the Mailbox. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and to your listeners.
Good morning,
Great,
Reverend
good to have
Toussaint.
you. Is Pastor Morrison online? Okay, he's joining us momentarily. Welcome, Pastor Morrison, as well.
Good morning, Reverend Toussaint. How are you? Are you hearing me?
Not hearing you, Pastor Morrison.
Wow.
Hearing you now.
I'm not
Good to
sure
have
why.
you. Okay. Well, let's hit the ground running. Hello.
Yes, let's go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, Courtney, we are hearing you. All right.
All righty.
Okay, good. Now, of course, my preamble a while ago was in reference to the recent demolition of concrete buildings
Right.
on lands owned SC holdings. What are your opening thoughts? Beginning with you, Miss Narcisse.
So the demolition of the houses at Clifton.
Miss Narcisse, beginning with you.
Yes.
Opening thoughts?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Seems to be some time delay.
Yes, hearing you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Right. So
Okay.
I was saying
Yes,
that
yeah, we're having some
demolition
technical
of
chat. Go ahead,
houses.
Pastor Morrison. Okay.
All right. My opening statements would be one that says authority always have the right to act.
Okay, listeners, we're going to sort it out. We're going to go back to the studio and be right back.
Tiles. It can go everywhere. From your walls to your floors, from inside to outside, your style, your choice. At Active Home Center, we have the widest selection of tiles, from classic to unique. Shop our new arrival of tiles for your bathrooms, living rooms, kitchen, and more. Let us help you transform your space. Visit us in Kingston at 84 Constant Spring Road or our newly opened location in Freeport, Montego Bay. Active Home Center, more savings, more choices.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Wayne.
And we are the Mitchells. Our life is a busy vibe.
We have our vlogging and music.
Entertainment for the kids.
Them love the online gaming, you see.
And streaming enough shows.
So whether we are at home or on the road,
Flow Yard and Road is made for our vibe.
Power your everywhere vibe with Yard and Road and get up to 150 megabits per second fiber fast internet at home and fully loaded mobile with unlimited social and YouTube data. Anywhere talking text plus gigs and gigs of any use data. All for a special offer of $4,999 plus GCT. Yard and Road is for the way you live. Flow, Jamaica's network. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
Importers, the Jamaica Customs Agency is reforming its clearance process, making it easier for you to clear your non-commercial and small value items using our simplified declarations. You will be able to clear your goods without physically visiting the port or a warehouse for customs inspection, making your clearance experience even better. The pilot begins October 2022 across all marine public bonded warehouses. For further details, email Jamaica Customs at contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm or telephone 876-922-51408. We're here to serve you. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and we apologize for the technical glitches we are obviously having. In this, the first watch, we are discussing the law of the land, compassion versus punishment. And we have online Ms. Carol Narcy, Civil Society Advocate, and the Pastor Courtney Morrison, Pastor of Fellowship Tabernacle and co-host of the Mailbox. I trust that you both can hear me. Pastor Morrison, Ms. Narcisse.
Good morning. I'm hearing you quite well, Reverend Toussaint.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so my question at the start was in regards to the recent demolition of concrete buildings on land owned by SCJ Holdings. I was asking for your opening thoughts. Please go ahead again, Ms. Narcisse, first.
All right. Thank you so much. So what happened at Clifton is symptomatic of a deeper historical matter of uh, injustice, really, and violation of human rights. And what is that history? And it's important that we're having this discussion in October, Heritage Month. That history is what happened to our people at the end of enslavement. And we all know that that history is a history of our people being dispersed after enslavement, dispersed with nothing, whereas their enslavers ended slavery with significant compensation, with land intact, etc. So the foreparents of the people who settled out in Clifton, whose houses have been bulldozed, are the majority people of Jamaica who historically have had no access to land. Now, land is access to land and legal tenure of land is an always contested issue, but where a state has been founded upon that historic injustice, that state has an obligation to find ways to rectify it. And so the Jamaican state has failed repeatedly to devise a proper and comprehensive land policy and a proper and comprehensive policy around informal settlements and how we're going to operate with those, shift those into formal and tenured positions, and also a formal comprehensive policy on social housing. Successive administrations have failed to do that. And so the problem persists. And so almost 2/3 of the Jamaican population, at the last count, some 800,000 people, are living in what is being called squatter communities.
All right, a lot there to chew on. Pastor Morrison, your take as your opening thoughts.
Good morning. Good morning again. I thank Ms. Narcisse for that historical bit of briefing. Quite interesting, you know, and I agree with it in the majority. One of the things I have been taught and become a part of my diction is one that says authority has the right to take certain actions. But the question is, are their actions usually right? You see, it is true that you own the property and that you have maybe very serious legal grounds in evicting persons from those lands. And when the question of compassion versus law is raised, my question is there dialogue with the individuals? And dialogue has to occur both ways. Myself finding, I as an individual, even although it took quite some period before I could own my own, would have to think long and hard about building a permanent structure on lands that I know I don't own. And in some cases, lands that I feel that I own, that I have found out that the owner that sold me was not the legal owner. And so dialogue has to be something that occurs, you know. to find out how can we address this chronic situation of squatters. I don't even like the terminology squatters. I'm not even sure why I'm using it.
Exactly.
Of people living on lands, trying to find themselves in housing situations where they probably otherwise couldn't, you know. How do we address that? And for me, compassion, empathy is something that has to be a part of the dialogue. How can I even accommodate, if I'm doing a new building site, how can I ensure that even between the time period of demolishing and getting you into a place or furnishing you with rent or whatever amenities that are necessary, how do I do that? Those are the questions that I would love to ask. You know, was I given adequate notice? Do I know of a notice? And
Yes, yeah,
have you given me time to address that?
yeah. No, so Pastor Morris, you mentioned about rights. Miss Narcisse, as far as you're aware, what are the rights of those whose homes have been demolished? Those buildings that have been demolished. As far as you know, what rights do they now have?
I don't know. I don't know. We would have to depend upon persons who know about the law, and I'm not one of them. But um, you know, we just have to ask ourselves, how long shall the people of Jamaica be made to suck salt through a wooden spoon and then be punished for it? And what is the role of the state in mediating the situation, in mediating the resources that we have, in determining how those resources will be justly, equitably, and transparently, how the people will benefit in an equitable and transparent way. And how do we acknowledge where we have come from and where we want to go, and have a plan for how we're going to get there, which plan will include where do the people fit in all of it. So we know that if you are on property, even if it's originally not yours, if you're on property for a period of time, then the law allows for, and if you, for example, paid the taxes in that time, that, you know, the law does allow for you to make a claim on that property. So we don't know what periods of time those persons were on that land for. So the lawyers will need to bend their minds to it and advise them as to what is possible.
And
Yeah.
Ms. Narcisse has
There,
brought
there
up
are
a
those
question, how can I prove how long I've been there if I'm not paying property tax? If I'm, what documentation would I have? You know, and so
So, if I may,
yes,
I'm part
sure.
of an NGO in a particular, city community of Kingston that
Sure.
is assisting with folks having tenure of the places that they're on. And one of the ways that LAMP, the Land Administration, and I've forgotten what the acronym stands for in the entirety, one of the ways LAMP does it is that it also takes an oral history of who was there, right? So the people in the community are included in a process of saying, do you know them? How long have they been there? How long have they, and so you get that oral history along with any other ways of proving that you have been in that space.
Yes.
And I believe
But
there's
in
also a
into
publication in
Pastor
the
Morris.
newspaper that can be done.
Yes.
Yet,
Well, that's a process. But Pastor Morrison,
yes.
Pastor
Yes,
Morrison,
sir.
hearing me?
I'm
Yeah,
hearing you, Rev.
I'm just wondering though. Yeah, I'm wondering in terms of this particular situation. If you have persons who have paid money to a particular individual, right? How
Yes.
much, at least at face value, how much research was done? How much thought was put into the whole process before you actually pay over the money to the individual? Because now it's seeming as if this was not a legal arrangement.
and it
we-
wasn't. And so I
sorry.
believe the
Go ahead.
responsibility is both on the individual, to find out if what they are doing is legal. I think so many persons in this country
Yes.
play on the lack of resources that some persons have, and
And the
sometimes persons
vulnerabilities.
invest all their life savings into a situation where they believe, here am I now, owning something for myself, and thinking that, yes, I've finally gotten a breakthrough, only to find out it was not so. And that's the heartbreak of a situation like this. The young lady who is on television, who is in the orange looking ear, is someone that I've spoken with before. I've seen, because I live in the Portmore community. I live in Greater Portmore, and Bernard Lodge is not very far away, that area of Clifton. And it is really a heartrending situation. One of the things that seemed good for me was to actually see the Prime Minister himself there at the time, at least having dialogue. Question is, was it too little? Was it too late? Was it something that could have been done before? We ask all these questions in hindsight, but dialogue, compassion, the tears that came to her eyes brought tears to my eyes. How do we equitably address these situations? How can we in a nation ensure that our people are adequately provided for, and accommodation, basic rights, basic shelter, food, clothing is ensured for the masses, that we will live lives that are peaceable and well off.
Yes. Miss Narcisse, Pastor Morrison mentioned a while ago the presence of the Prime Minister. What are your concerns with the fact that the PM is seemingly so front and center in this whole debacle? Are there any concerns?
So the PM made announcements in Parliament about what was occurring in that on the land, that it was a national security matter. We then saw the scenes of the demolition of the houses, and the question I asked was, why does it always seem as if the Jamaican state reserves its greatest show of strength for the people who are, in this instance, the swindled, the most precariously perched, the persons who have least knowledge about what, least education, least knowledge about the processes and the procedures, and the least power in the society to navigate those processes and procedures? Where is the equivalent law enforcement with respect to those gangs who the Prime Minister indicated to the nation are involved in the selling, illegal takeover and selling of land? We have not seen the law enforcement side where it would most especially make a difference. And so to go from the announcement to the demolition, so reminiscent of the colonial state's way of operating, to appearing in the midst to modify, and the entire series of steps seem, ending with the PM being there after the fact of the demolition, seems highly, how shall I say this? It's an inappropriate approach. Yeah? But it's an approach where, again, if I use the colonial analogy, Baka will beat you on Sunday, and on Monday come with little food, little clothes, little this, and they say, yes, Baka, thank you, Baka. So we really have to decide what roles we are playing. And we have to take housing and land out of a politically connected and driven process. That has been part of the problem that we have had. Land and housing has been a part of the political patronage process in Jamaica. We all know that part of the history. So, and we know the part of the history where members of parliament either put people on land that they know shouldn't be there, or they retain people on land that they know shouldn't be there for purposes of votes, because the people are mere pawns in our political culture. So we have to take a much more thoughtful, thorough, independent, comprehensive approach. Otherwise, we will continue to reap the results.
I agree with what I agree with what Ms. Narcisse is saying. She has given quite an objective view and an impartial, unbiased view of what has happened, and it does appear that way at times. Yet I wonder, in a situation like this, again, how can anybody really? He could have stayed away. I saw my MP there as well, Honorable Fitzjackson, and it is sad, as she says, that somehow it becomes a political scapegoat, and they actually use it as a football as well to retain persons for votes. And we are praying for the day that changes and that happens. For me, again, the issue of compassion, the issue of dialogue. I know the Bernard Lodge estate was advertised for quite some years now. I'm not sure, though, what process occurred, if any occurred. There was the statement that notices were given and the persons denied that. And so, it's just a messy affair. It really is. And we have to find a way.
But Pastor Morrison, the role of the opposition in this regard, with the possibility of court action, I don't know how far that's going to go. What's your take on that in addressing the issue?
For me personally, in terms of even the opposition leader declaring legal help, I'm sure that is something that would be welcomed by the individuals. I'm hoping it's sometimes we have to question our leaders, is it a genuine, and these are questions, are these genuine efforts to help individual, or is it again something for the political arena to try and jump in? We have seen where it works both ways. And so to do that, I'm praying, I'm really hoping that this is a genuine move to assist those who are the underprivileged in acquiring help in a situation like this.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah. We are our parliamentarians on both sides of the aisle need to be demanded of to do the jobs that they've been elected to do and that they're being paid to do. They are who it is that need to craft and discuss with the society comprehensive policy and legislation that can deal with the roots of our needs, the roots of our development future, and the roots of the problems that we see the symptoms of popping up all over. So whilst I agree with Pastor that assisting the individuals with legal representation if they need that is all well and good, but the opposition really has a much larger, much deeper role to play, and along with the government. And so unless they're going to come into the parliament to raise the relevant questions about how this process occurred and what happened here, because there is a question time provided for in the parliament, if they are not going to come to the parliament with a considered position with respect to a land policy and so on and so forth, which, by the way, has been in draft from their administration time all the way till now. Okay? So they are all accountable and all culpable and all are must be held to account.
Okay. A
Not to
fitting note on
mention
which to end.
Yes.
A fitting note on which to end, Miss Narcisse. We have been having a delay problem throughout. Thanks so much for joining us, Pastor Courtney Morrison and Miss Carol Narcisse. Have a productive day. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you. Blessings. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Talk to J&B Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The Time by J&B Bank Mortgages.
The time is now 7:30 a.m. and the Morning Watch is brought to you by Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica, Partners for Life.
Nice baked goods for everybody. Nothing no sweet me like bun and cheese. National make you bill with the family. We love cheesy folds and mommy prefer crackers and tea. And we support all one chicken man with the hard bread, you know, giant brand. Serving the people of Jamaica with wholesome food to help you stay strong. Yeah, now we are national bag, original, truly Jamaican. Something for all occasion. Good for your breakfast, lunch or snack. Grab your national bag, original, truly Jamaican. Best quality, 70 years strong. National build up the nation. National Baking Company, baked with pride since 52.
Planning to sit the January CXC CSEC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, October 14, 2022. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the January CXC CSEC exams privately, the registration deadline is October 14, 2022.
The Real Estate Hub is Jamaica's first and only one-stop shop for everything real estate. With a click of a button, you can search from a wide range of our listed realtor partners to find you the right property in Jamaica. We can get you approved for a mortgage with multiple banks, and we even negotiate with hundreds of attorneys, evaluators, and land surveyors to ensure you get the best deal when buying or selling a property. Apply now at realestatehubja.com.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, PM stands firm. Holness insists government will not cede ground to gangsters and defends demolition. Also, troubling scapegoating. Caution urged in ban on creative expression. In the Observer, entertainers slam Broadcasting Commission's music ban. We're going to be examining that topic in the second watch. Also, we see that elderly accused Bloods gangster wants lawyer he can't afford. I wonder what's that about. In the Loop News, Klansman gang fingered in illegal land sales in Bernal Lodge. PM wants to know if any public official culpable, asks MOCA, JCF to probe matter. And then finally, in Loop News, JC annihilate Holy Trinity, 9 Love, annihilate. While Mona defeats Woolmers. Well, those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What are your thoughts on the Broadcasting Commission's ban on Molly, scamming, and gun music. What are your thoughts on the Broadcasting Commission's ban on Molly, scamming, and gun music? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Wayne.
And we are the Mitchells. Our life is a busy vibe.
We have our vlogging and music.
Entertainment for the kids.
Them love the online gaming, you see.
And streaming enough shows.
So whether we are at home or on the road,
Flow Yard and Road is made for our vibe.
Power your everywhere vibe with Yard and Road and get up to 150 megabits per second fiber fast internet at home and fully loaded mobile with unlimited social and YouTube data. Anywhere talking text plus gigs and gigs of any use data. All for a special offer of $4,999 plus GCT. Yard and Road is for the way you live. Flow, Jamaica's network. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Victor for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What are your thoughts on the Broadcasting Commission's ban on Molly, scamming, and gun music? Victor.
Yes, sir. All right, Dr. Toussaint. So we have quite a few responses here on WhatsApp. Carrie-Ann says, Morning Watch, I am in full support. The violence and lack of values in the music causes criminality. And that's Carrie-Ann. She's on WhatsApp. That was her response. We have Gail from Manchester says, ban them, period. Simply put. We have Angela Hibbert from Galena St. Mary saying, I respect the move. Too much of those influential songs. So those are some of the remarks so far. Sister Matilda Wainwright from Sandy Bay, Hanover, sent a voice memo. Let's see if we can play it for you.
Good morning, Victor Brown and Dr. Dylan Toussaint. The Broadcasting Commission is to be highly commended. And though some say this is late, it's better late than never. Okay? Thank you.
And we have one more. Would you like one more, or is that fine?
Yeah, go ahead quickly. Let's have it.
Last one here from Phyllis in St. Thomas.
Yes, because I thought broadcasting was sleeping. I didn't even know they were still exist. Because so many times I have been around people who put on their radio or whatever, and what is coming from it, sometimes I am so surprised that these things play over the air. So broadcasting seems as if they woke up. Thank God you woke up, not in time, but you woke up.
Well, there you have it. Those are the remarks on our WhatsApp line so far.
Quite a mouthful there. Celebrating the awakening of the Broadcasting Commission. I want to thank those who responded. Interesting comments this morning, as usual. Well, as we segue into the second watch, both the JCF and the Broadcasting Commission are affirming their positions against scamming, Molly, and so-called gun music. No support for entertainers who glorify guns, gunmen, and Molly, the Commissioner of Police reportedly said. And just yesterday, the Jamaica Broadcasting Commission placed a ban on the said music in public spaces. How's that going down with the music fraternity? Well, to discuss these and other related issues, we have joining us Mr. Mark Tony Anthony Bennett, a Jamaican living in Canada, media professional and entertainer, founder of reggaenorth.ca, and Mr. Johan Simpson, attorney at law, chairman of JAREA, that is the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. Good morning to you both.
How are you doing, sir?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me, man. Thank you very much.
Great. Good to have you both. All right. Well, let's have your initial thoughts, gentlemen, on yesterday's pronouncement from the Jamaica Broadcasting Commission. Long overdue, or is it an overreach? Beginning with you, Mr. Bennett.
Well, in a sense, it's kind of long overdue because the radio is an agent of socialization. So you have to consider the type of content that is broadcast on the masses on a daily basis. So if the music or the information has been put out on the music is deemed harmful to society in any way, there have to be some kind of censorship. You know, if you're going to have music glorifying illegal activities, sending messages, criminality is okay. It's not good for society at all. So, you know, I think it's needed, it's necessary.
All right. Mr. Simpson, long overdue or overreach?
Not at all. The only difference in my approach is that I would not consider it censorship. I believe that it is a matter of qualification or disqualification. And that is to say, there's just some things that are not appropriate for the general consumption in public spaces, which is what radio provides. And it does not mean that they are not fit for consumption in other spaces, and that person shouldn't be able to go wherever those spaces are and consume them there. It just should not be available on the airwaves. And no matter how we try to sterilize them, because the sterilization has become less and less effective over time. There was a time when we used to get a beep, and then there's a time when it was kind of muddied. And then after a while, you started to use words that sounded like words, or bits and pieces of the same word. And boundaries have been pushed farther and farther and farther till there are almost no boundaries. And so it is a very good move to claw it back so that we can recenter ourselves as a society to what we consider to be normative in the social space, and then allow the other areas to thrive on their own feet.
Mr. Simpson say don't see it as censorship. Why so?
Well, you know, I don't think that censorship really would be to tell you what to say. Censorship would be to determine what you are allowed to express. Really, we are saying you are allowed to express. Your freedom of expression is contextual. And in this space, just in the same way you can't go into Parliament and say anything you feel like. In the same way you ought not to go into church and say whatever you feel like. You can't go into the courthouse and say whatever you feel like. That's not an issue of censorship. It's an issue of time and place. It's an issue of appropriate for the context. And so I don't believe the Broadcast Commission is saying or could ever be saying that there are certain types of music that should not be made or played in general. They are saying that on the areas that we regulate, the free-to-air radio and television that is accessible to the general public, this is not the space. And I find it difficult to disagree with them. I'm saying what has happened over time is that radio has morphed into other spaces, and anything you could consume in other spaces is now available for consumption in the haberdashery of radio, and that should not be the case.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Simpson. No, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, is censorship or not? Is it not censorship?
I like the way he explained it, because I agree with him totally. It's not that they're saying you can't make these music and these music are not supposed to be played anywhere at all. It's just saying that on the airwaves, which is, you know, this supply the nation with certain information, you can't have certain type of music in everybody's ears, because not everybody love that type of thing. Everybody, I mean, especially older people like us, like myself, we grew up on listening to different type of things. And even if you had certain lewd music back in the day, they would be played at certain places. They would stay in the dance hall. You know, they stay and I can remember back in the day when there was a DJ called I forget his name. He was a very low. When he went to the dance hall, he just speaks slackness and everything there. But the one thing about General Echo was
Hold on there, Mr. Bennett. I want to hear more about this. We're up on a break. Hold that thought, eh? We'll be right back.
Okay.
Jane Bank mean when them say own sweet home.
Own mean at your place. A Jane Bank mortgage makes you a homeowner with up to 100% financing.
Sweet! That means no upfront fees, low monthly payments, and you can get up to $5 million in a personal unsecured loan to cover related expenses.
Plus, contents insurance from JNGI.
And when them say home, it means with Jane Bank, you can get home in 30 days or less.
Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Embrace the Promise is coming to Jamaica with Ron Kinoli, Jonathan Nelson, Prodigal Son, Dr. KJ, Carrie Sales, Jermaine Edwards, Joan Flemings, and more. Great prizes of up to $300,000 at each location. 876-784-2992. Manning's High School, Westmoreland, Saturday, October 29, 6 p.m. Randy Williams Entertainment Center, Sunday, October 30 at 5 p.m. Sponsored by Bugs Innovations, Love FM, and more. Embrace the Promise.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this Friday, October 14 at 8:30 a.m., Love 101 FM will be live on location at the Jamaica Cancer Society, 16 Lady Musgrave Road, Kingston. Plus, in celebration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Jamaica Cancer Society will be giving away 100 mammograms, compliments of the National Health Fund. To be eligible, please contact the Jamaica Cancer Society at 876-927-3317 or 876-927-4573 to make your appointment no longer than 2 p.m. Thursday, October 13. Remember, you are only eligible when you contact the Jamaica Cancer Society at 876-927-3317 or 876-927-4573. Ladies, make the call today. That's the Jamaica Cancer Society Breast Cancer Awareness Month broadcast this Friday, October 14 at 8:30 a.m. Catch it live right here on the family station, Love 101.
I know you heard this message before.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Clean up or shut up. That's the topic for our discussion in the second watch. And in so doing, we have online Mr. Ewan Simpson, attorney at law, chairman of JAREA, Reggae Music Industry Association, and Mr. Mark Tony Anthony Bennett, living in Canada, media professional, entertainer, founder of reggaenorth.ca. Mr. Bennett, before the break, you were responding to the question, is this not censorship on the part of the Jamaica Broadcasting Commission?
As I said, what I get from it is I don't think it's censorship because they're not saying don't make these music. They're just saying we're not going to play these type of music on our ears or ear space, because it's affecting the nation on a whole. And to be honest, you have to, the greater good takes precedence no matter what. You know what I mean? Because as I was saying back in the day, when you have certain kind of music being made by artists, and they were like allotted to dancehall. They kept it in the dancehall or make their tapes and stuff like that. But even the dancehall, they would not DJ or play a certain type of music until a certain time. After midnight, they'll play because they're saying, okay, young people are sleeping, older people are sleeping, so this is our time now. And they did what they did. You know what I mean? So there has to be some kind of some kind of hold on this, because to me personally, as a musician and an artist, when I've been in this one since the 80s, it has gone to me out of hand in a sense where anything and everything is said. You know what I mean? I don't want to turn on the radio and hear said me I go kill a man, this and this and that. I don't want to hear that. And most people don't want to hear that. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, before even this came out yesterday, a friend of mine and I was discussing the same thing. He was in Jamaica. He's an artist as well. And we were discussing the same thing. And he said, why it get out of hand? Because it was in a vehicle and there's two young girls going to school and this type of song they were playing in the vehicle. And you could see everybody's face was like, and the kids didn't care. And he got involved in a conversation with them and say, you know that whatever you're listening to, that's you, that's what you're doing. And when he pointed out to the kids that the whole sexual thing that they were talking about, is that what you're doing in high school? The girls didn't realize that what they were saying, people were looking at them as that type of person. And when he brought it out to them, they turned off the music and, you know, they couldn't wait to get out of the vehicle. So there have to be some kind of hold on this. Because it's, to me personally, it's getting out of hand, for real.
Yeah. What about music expressions, though? Is it a stifling of that, wouldn't you say? They're going to be person who are arguing that way. Do you agree?
Free expression does not mean people can say anything and everything everywhere that they want. You can say it, yes, it's freedom, but when it's affecting others, as I said, the greater good takes precedent. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? So we're not putting on a hold so you can't say what you want to say. But they have the power to say, even though you're saying what you want to say, we're not going to put it in our space. You can keep it on your space and you play it anywhere else you want to do it. But when whatever space we have control over, we don't want that on it. So that's not really mean that's not mean that you're stopping from people from saying what they want to say or freedom of expression in any way.
Mr. Simpson, is there an official stance from Jaria on this? And while you respond to that, who do you think this ban will affect most?
All right, so let me start with the second question. Who do I think this ban will affect most? This ban will affect the radio disc jocks most. that is my perspective, because it will constrain what they present on radio.
Radio disc jocks?
Yeah.
Radio disc jocks?
Radio disc jocks. I don't believe that the people who are producing music, the music that is the subject of this latest intervention, they have other spaces within which they can propagate this music in. And all that this is doing is saying to them, use those spaces and not free-to-air space, not the regulated space. And I'm saying the radio disc jocks will have to, you see, let me just say this. There has long been a discussion about whether or not there is good music being made in this country. And there are people who work night and day to produce excellent, positive, top quality music that can't get an opportunity to squeeze through the door, because there's all of this other kind of music that either is well funded from whatever source or is popular, that is squeezing them out of the space. And I'm saying probably what we will have now as a result is a greater presentation of a particular kind of positivity that has always been here, but that has been struggling to get a space in the life. You know?
So are we hearing from you that Jaria is in full support of this ban?
Well, let me say it this way. Because I have not always been chairman of Jaria, even though I was around at the beginning and then I was away from it. But the principles based on which a Jaria award can be issued, for example, are in complete step with what the broadcast is saying. So Jaria was never a space that encouraged free-for-all or irresponsible presentation of your art, even though we do not believe in censorship. Which is why I was very clear to make the distinction between censorship and regulation earlier in the discussion. And so, even though as a membership we have not met on the matter, our long-established principles at Jaria are in total step with this position. And so, one of the things that we are saying is that we must now go further with the regulation of the space to have a very clear rating arrangement in place, rating of not only programs and content, but of venues and spaces, so that people can know where they can go to get what they like, what they prefer, and the spaces that are appropriate for certain kinds of entertainment. Because we have to accept that we have a diverse society that likes different things.
Right.
But it can't just be as organic, or in some cases chaka chaka, as it has been for a while.
Interesting. Mr. Bennett,
yeah.
Who will be most affected? Because we're even getting some responders on social media think the artists will be most affected by it. What's your take?
Actually, I don't think the artist is going to be the most affected. Because the truth is, most artists nowadays don't rely on radio anymore because the social media. YouTube is the thing. That's where they're getting the royalties. That's where they're making money.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and there's no censorship on iTunes and all those places to sell these type of songs. You understand? So the artists on a whole won't, to me, in my opinion, won't be affected as people might think. I think the gentleman was right. The real DJs will be more affected for true, because now you're curtailing what they present to their listeners. You know what I mean? And because you have, as I say, you have a base out there who want to hear these type of music. If you can't play that, then you're gonna lose listeners that are gonna find other space where they can hear their type of music that they love. So the good thing about what I think, the good thing is artists won't be affected that much, because social media has given them a space where they can make money and do their own thing and express themselves freely.
Yeah. It is about, if I may, it's about two things, if I may. It is about what is normative, what is considered normal and okay, from both the artist's perspective and the radio disc jockey perspective. But it's also about professionalism. I mean, there are too many instances of persons who cannot read a time signal having an entire 3-hour slot on radio. I mean that's the challenge.
Yes.
You see, can I say something?
Go ahead, Mr.
I have a radio show in South Florida, and a radio station in South Florida. I broadcast on Thursdays and Sundays, right? And I played one of Shaggy's latest songs, a single he did, one of them single he did. And because it was Shaggy, I didn't even listen to the song, because I know Shaggy don't have certain type of lyrics in his songs. But he used the F word in the song before I listened, and I didn't listen to it. And when he did that, the Warner called me and told that the commission there, whoever look on radio and what they play, called them, and they were about to charge her because there's a $25,000 fee for playing certain type of music on the radio with certain type of lyrics. You know what I mean? So that's how. So people can say in other countries there are censorship, are regulations that you can't play a certain type of music. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's necessary in a sense, in my opinion.
We're having some interesting feedback from social media. For example, someone is arguing or making the point, what about some of the Christian songs? Would they not also be caught in the crossfire? Because some of them seem to have some lyrics there that look and sound violent. What's your take on that, Mr. Bennett?
Well, I'm not too familiar with too much of the gospel music.
Mr. Simpson, you're more familiar with it?
Well, I am more familiar with it, but at the end of the day, if there is music that is considered gospel music or sacred music that falls in that category, or the category of music that is prohibited, then we know we have a bigger problem than we think. Right? and so what if it falls in if so what?
Exactly.
Time to clean up.
Yeah.
Yes. Because you can't be biased enough. You're gonna.
It may be that we are so far gone that even in what is to be considered sacred and Christian, we have the same problem. Because everybody is going for the hype and everybody is going for the new thing. You know? And so how do we dial it back?
Mr. Simpson is right. If you're right, I think if gospel music is putting out songs like those, then we are in bigger trouble than we think. Because gospel music is supposed to be sacred.
Supposed to be. Well, interesting, gentlemen. Interesting. We're totally out of time, but I'm happy that we are getting from both of you that we are on the same page. All right. We believe that the ban is a positive thing, and we hope that it will be adhered to going forward. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Have a productive day.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good day.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us this morning. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for the discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information or get copies of this program, please call our production department at 876-968-959627. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Ms. Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastor and members of the Bethel Bogwalk Circuit of Baptist churches as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Victor Brown.